Hello, welcome back to the Prosperity Purpose Podcast. I'm Jessica Heffley. So glad you are here. So glad you're back. So glad you guys are doing those silent prayer walks. So glad from last week's episode you're learning how to not be a helicopter mom or helicopter leader, but good leaders ask good questions and how you really rise other people up and help them to change, not just temporarily give them answers. So proud of you guys leaning into that. So proud of you guys leaning into that for yourself, because leaders go first and others will follow. But okay, so today I wanted to take a little bit of weight off your shoulders. If you've been listening for a long time, or if you're really working on your thoughts or really working on your mindset, and you're still procrastinating from some things. Confession. It's been taking me, I have been avoiding recording this podcast for hours. And I've said that before, right? Like I've been avoiding it. And I was like, finally, let's get our thoughts down. Why do you keep avoiding this, Jessica? And it goes back to, it's not going to be good enough. Or what if I say something I've already said before? Or blah, 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 blah. So here's what happens here's what I do when that happens. I don't hate on myself for it. I just get curious, like, okay, I'm on to you thoughts. I'm procrastinating again. That doesn't mean anything about me. I just get to notice why I am doing that. And then I get to make a powerful decision on who I actually want to be, what result I actually want to produce. And I know that putting out this podcast brings the kingdom of heaven to earth. I know that she needs to hear this right now. She means you. You need this. This is now. This is how I help. This is how I show up. This is how, this is part of my purpose. Anyways, just want to give you a little bit of, what's the word? Grace, that if you've been procrastinating from something again, what if it's okay? What if you stop making yourself so wrong and horrible for doing it? Okay, now let's get into the fun part. I went to a silent retreat again this weekend. If you're unfamiliar with this is the third silent retreat I've gone to. I used to go to retreats off by myself for 3 days, once or twice a year. And then my friend started hosting these, my friend Danielle, and I was like, well, I was going to go off by myself anyways, might as well go to yours, where my food is covered, nice lodging, and I have to turn in my phone, so there's some accountability that I actually spend the time in silence. So what we do is we go to this amazing retreat center. We all start, and there's about 20 of us, and so we all were kind of in a room. They're beautiful, like it's a great cabin. There's bunk bed rooms, big beds, like our bed, 2, 4, 6, 7, had the capacity to sleep 7, and there was just 3 people in there with our very own bathroom. So we still had space, and I was with 2 good friends, Chris and Tamara. And anyways, so we come, we eat dinner, we visit, and then we start with worship, and then we enter into silence. So we started on a Thursday night and went through Saturday afternoon. I love it because when else do you actually spend that much time without a watch, without a TV, without a computer, without a phone? Literally 0 distractions. And I've been like leading up to it. So I've been making a list of all of these things I wanted to journal about. Brought a couple books I wanted to read, some topics I wanted to pray about, and just I was so excited because there's so much time. I just felt like, oh, I need to do this, but I'm going to save it for the retreat. I'm going to save it for the retreat. I'm going to save it for the retreat. And so at the retreat, I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, but then we're going to get to a huge breakthrough that I had about feeling bad about being successful. So stay tuned. Keep listening. Do you feel bad about success or feel bad about yourself? Anyways, we're going to get to that. Okay, so I had started the retreat. How did I start the retreat? Oh, I don't wear a watch during the retreat. I think this adds an added layer to the out of the ordinary aspect of it, right? And so I have no idea what time I'm going to bed. I have no idea what time I'm waking up. The first morning I didn't sleep good. The mattress was kind of, and so I don't know what time it was when I woke up, but I do know that it's dark. So I know it was before 6 because I kind of am in tune with my circadian rhythms and what time the sun comes up and all these things. And but it was way before 6. And so I went out into like an alcove with some couches and started reading. I have no idea, but I know I was the first one up in the whole house, and I was the first one up for a while. And so I spent some time reading that day, and then I had a list of a ton of things that I wanted to journal. So I want to give you guys practical things on how you can do this. On when I say things I wanted to journal about, it isn't just like, dear diary, today I took a walk. No, it's like, okay, I want to process this topic I've been avoiding. This topic has been making me uncomfortable. This person I have a problem with currently. This I want to explore with the Lord. Like it's anything that I need to process. And so I literally took out a notebook, and on the top of each page, I wrote the topic of all these different topics so they could be out of my brain. That had like 10 different things. But I had then saved the space to process them, save the space to go back and journal and ask the Lord and question about them. But there was no rush. I wouldn't forget. I could just go to a topic as needed throughout the weekend and kind of work on that. So that's what I did. And then I did that for a while until breakfast. And then I decided to paint. Do you guys, have I told you about my painting excursion? So I've had lots of hormones checked, lots of perimenopause stuff going on, but really it's not that bad. There's not huge things going on with my hormones. It's not tremendously out of whack. From literal science and medical people looking at my test results and some spiritual direction and spiritual mentors, that we've really come to the conclusion that I just need more joy in my life. I need more creative outlets that bring me joy. And that is not a waste of time. It is a literal way to live that brings you more joy, creates more serotonin and dopamine, like the feel good hormones in your body, to do more things that take you out of this analytical thinking brain to a more creative way to live. And so I've started to paint. I almost caught myself in the other day when I was telling somebody this. I'm like, I'm not a painter. And then I said, whoa, stop. I don't want to speak that over my identity. Because if I keep saying, I'm not a painter, I'm not going to become a good painter. So I've rephrased it in the fact of I'm learning how to paint. I'm new to this painting thing and trying to figure it out and enjoy it and spend some time. Anyway, so I had this another paint by number thing, but it was a customized one. It's one of me and my husband's favorite pictures from when we went to be the top 7 trip with Plexus years ago was to Over Yonder Key, a literal private island out in the exumas of the Bahamas. It was amazing. But we have this really beautiful picture where he's like dipping me and there's blue water in the background. It was a white party, so we were in white that night. It's just like a really pretty picture that we love and we've used a lot on our social media, and it's a beautiful memory of ours. So I got that. And I was like, I'm going to paint this morning after breakfast. And so I go out. Did I paint first? Yeah, I think I painted. Yeah, I painted first. And so I went on a picnic table out in the back porch. They have huge covered porches. I wanted to have a view of like this cliff so I wouldn't see the house or any other cars. I just wanted to see nature. And I got all my paints out and I just started painting. And for a while, it was easy. I was doing the blue water. That was fun. The sky was pretty easy to paint. I got to kind of do some creative stuff with the palm tree. And then I got to me and Rob in the picture. And all the time I'm doing this, I'm thinking, first of all, I'm like, this is taking up a lot of my time in this retreat. Like I had a list of all these things I needed to do or accomplish at this silent retreat, where the point of the silent retreat was just to be with God, to spend time with God. But I'm painting and I'm like, oh, I should be doing something else. This is taking up a couple of hours probably. I don't know. I don't have a watch. I don't know how much time this is taking up. But I was just thinking, is this wasteful? I had the thought, is this wasteful? And then the Lord just so gently was like, just waste time with me. I just want to be with you. I'm just enjoying being with you. And so the whole time I'm painting, I'm praying for my husband. I just felt like I hadn't spent a lot of dedicated time praying for him. And so that felt really nice to just like casually and specifically pray for him and dream over him and do things while I'm painting. And the Lord just kept bringing up like some old Psalms that had to do with love, like love one another, God is love, like these old like songs I hadn't thought about in a while. And I was noticing the theme was love. And so I was like, okay, that's interesting. That's kind of a theme in my life lately. I'm learning how to love myself, learning how to love others. Anyway, so I'm painting, and then we're just wasting time together. I don't feel bad about it anymore. I'm just enjoying the space to let my brain just not think about anything else, like just be in the moment. I'm not wasting time. This is exactly what the Lord and I are doing right now. It feels great. And then I get to our faces, or I'm painting on like our bodies and our faces, and it gets to like some very detailed colors. And I botch it. I botch the painting. I am out there busting out laughing. Like people inside can probably hear me. I'm like painting along, and I'm just like, this is horrible. This painting is horrible. Like our faces look so, like when you're really up close and you're painting the eyeballs and you're painting the different colors of the skin on the face and the cheeks and the different skin tones. And it just looks really bad. And so part of me is just is like, well, it's ruined. I mean, I did all this work on the water and the sky and all these other things, but we look hideous. Like our face is horrible. And I just wanted to take the black paint and just like make an X and be like, just forget it. What's the point? This part of the picture is horrible. And then the Lord gave me this revelation, and because I'm up close looking at it, right? Because people would like they'd look in the window at me, like they would smile because they could see I was painting, and I think they're like, "Oh, that's so cool, she's painting." Or I don't know what they were thinking. We couldn't talk to each other, but they would like smile, and they're like, "That's amazing!" Like they'd mouth it with their mouth, like, "That's so cool." And I'm over here dying laughing because I'm like, "This is literally horrible." But the Lord gave me this analogy of like, so from far away, like the people in the kitchen that are watching me from outside are like, "That picture is amazing. That's so cool that you're doing that. Like that looks so good." And I'm over here this close to the picture and I'm like, "Oh my gosh. No. This is not good. This does not look good." And it reminded me, right? Okay. So whenever we look, say our husbands, let's take that analogy. When we look really up close at our husbands, right? It's easy to see the flaws, the imperfections, the things that are wrong, the things that aren't cohesive, right? But if you step back, it's a masterpiece. It's literally a creative work of art that someone spent time and attention creating, right? And how often do we do that with ourselves? Where we're like, oh, we get really close to the mirror. We're like, oh, that wrinkle, oh, that imperfection, oh, my skin looks so dull, right? But if we step back and we look in the mirror and we're like, oh my goodness, it ain't as bad as we thought. And so I think that's a word for somebody today, that if we for a reminder of how critical we get when we're so up close and nitpicky and looking at every little detail of things that are wrong. And we just need to step back and celebrate how far we've come. Celebrate that we are a creation of the Master who was very meticulously and artistically put together, okay, for a purpose, for beauty, for a reason here on this earth. So we've got to step back with ourselves, with our business, with other people in our life, and celebrate the goodness. Celebrate that God doesn't make a mistake. Celebrate it all cohesively going together. And so anyways, that's the big word I got. And I was telling the girls afterwards. So after at the silent retreat, we eat dinner and then we worship and we go into silence, and then we're silent for a day and a half, and then we come back together and we worship again. And then anyone in the room, in the circle or whatever, can share their experience of what they had with the Lord. Like what happened, what did you guys do with your time together? What did he show you? What was hard? What was easy? And I was telling them that painting experience. And it was so funny because a couple of them said, "Oh, I thought you were like an artist. I thought you were like a professional painter." And I was like, "No, I'm not. I mean, not yet." So it was just really fun to tell that story. And a good reminder too, sometimes don't be looking so close, like step back. And this is also how we can turn the drama meter up, right? Like we've talked about drama meter a lot. Like sometimes when we're so close, we're like, "Rear, that's horrible. Let's just throw it in the trash. Let's just like throw it out with the bathwater." But let's turn that drama meter down. Take a step back and celebrate this. I don't know why I'm thinking about this. Years ago, I was probably newly married. We were over at somebody's house. We were going to a new church or making new friends, and I think she was having some ladies over for dinner, and she said that she had made this cake. She worked really hard on this cake, or she had told us she was going to make this cake, and we get there and there's no cake, and we were asking her about it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I worked really hard on it, and then it just ended up being dry, so I just threw the whole cake in the trash can." And I was like, "Wait, what?" Like maybe you're being a little bit too hard on yourself. Like it's cake. Let's put some icing on it. I'm sure it's not horrible. You know what I mean? And so sometimes we're just so hard on ourselves where we would think, "Oh my gosh, throw this away. Where's the black paint? Let's rip it up. Like, this is useless. There's no point in this." And someone else from afar is like, "Oh my gosh, you're so gifted. You're so gifted. I can't do that. And look at you charting this new territory. So anyways, I think I'm actually going to stop this podcast at that. I'll tell you a little bit more about the silent retreat, but there's way more I wanted to go into. Let's do a little part 2 of silent retreat. We're going to do that in episode 2. But for right now, I want you to think of, what are you being too hard on yourself about? Okay. What have you created or worked on or avoiding working on because you're like, this isn't good enough. This isn't going to make the cut. Someone's going to think it's horrible. Like there's feelings of like, oh, someone's going to judge me if they get really close to this. But then I thought, no, because I worked hard on this. I can put it in a frame and put it somewhere where like people can't walk by really close. But it, like up high on the wall or on the way other side of the room where people can still have this beautiful picture of it. So that was one of the joys of my retreat, is doing something creative. And I think it just took me probably less than 2 hours to do the whole picture. Doing something new, doing something creative, and listening to what the Lord has to say. Like the Lord can literally guide every single thing that you're doing. Okay. Sometimes people are like, what do I do? What do I do? How do I work my business? How do I grow my business? And I'm over here like, one day at a time. What is the next best thing? What is the next thing the Lord is calling you to do today in your business? Just the other day, someone in my coaching program had this huge revelation for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, for months and months. She's come to get coaching about, I just feel overwhelmed, my schedule. I can't get it all in. I can't fit it all in. And we really work down to the simplicity of figuring out your calendar the night before. Like the night before, planning the most important things you want to get done the next day. Not to get overwhelmed and plan your whole week, plan your whole month, plan your whole year, but one day of obedience at a time. One day of being intentional about the most important things that you want to get done and planning that out and making that happen. One day at a time. So in the midst of all of this, in the big obedience, in the big purpose of your life, in the big vision of what you're called to accomplish on this 80 plus years of your life, what do you need to do today? What can you do today to be obedient to what the Lord has called you to do today? And how can you have a little bit more fun doing it? How can you try something new? I'd love to hear what new thing you're trying. So I'm trying painting, right? But what have you done lately that was creative, that brought you joy, that took you out of your analytical do task list? And actually, at first glance, and probably when you do this at first, it's going to feel wasteful. It's going to feel like you're wasting time. But ask the Lord if that's how He feels about that activity. Ask the Lord if you taking a walk and turning your phone off is wasteful to Him. If you're talking to Him, conversing to Him, asking Him questions, or just enjoying each other's company. Why don't you ask Him if that's wasteful? And after that, why don't you ask Him what would be the most strategic thing you can do in your business? Ask Him. One of the best not misused, like just missed, like just straight up missed the mark. Business advice is, what does God want you to do next? The book of Proverbs literally is full of wisdom on how to live your life, how to grow your business. What does He want you to do next? Can't get any better than that. God bless you. I'll see you next week. I'm going to tell you more about the silent retreat next week and how I was feeling uncomfortable being successful. We'll do that next week. You're just going to have to come back. You're going to have to come back after you do something creative. See you then.